Okay, I just wanted to do a quick, a quick video here on today's bizarre weather. All right, we're looking at the satellite map here. This is my location. And this was at 4 o'clock. Okay, 3. It's been cloudy all day. That's my point. 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 12 o'clock. You know. So let's just check the humidity. Humidity is 37%. Very dry. Very dry. Dry conditions. In fact, so dry that the weatherman was encouraging people to not shoot off fireworks yesterday. Pressure is actually low. So we've got low pressure and low humidity. And let's go back to the satellite. Nothing but clouds. 1, 2, 3, 4. I thought so. So let's just look right here. Oh, sorry. It's over here. Right here. No, clouds cannot form in low humidity conditions because they require sufficient moisture in the air to reach saturation. When the air is saturated, it allows for the condensation of water vapor into cloud droplets. Okay? Clouds typically form when air reaches a saturation point. I was just wondering. I'm not a meteorologist. I have a science degree, biology, double minor in chemistry, but I don't have I'm not a meteorologist, but I'm just looking some things up, It's like I thought it should be humid. There's clouds, which is influenced by humidity. Humidity is a concentration of water vapor in the air. There are two main types of humidity: absolute humidity and relative humidity, the percentage of moisture in the air compared to the maximum amount it can hold at a given temperature. Conditions for cloud formation: air must be saturated, meaning it holds as much water vapor as possible. This usually occurs at 100% relative humidity. Condensation nuclei. Particles like dust or smoke are needed for water vapor to condense into droplets. Low humidity. Generally, clouds cannot form in low humidity conditions. If the relative humidity is below the saturation point, there isn't enough moisture for cloud formation. So, in summary, clouds typically do not form in low humidity conditions. Let's go back over here. So we've got humidity at 4 o'clock was 39%, 37% at 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock it was 37%, 37%, and it's been low humidity the last few days, in fact. Very dry. Now let's go back to now let's look at the radar. Okay, look at this. This was at 5 p.m. By the way, it's not raining here. Right here. 0 inches. I'm getting to a point. Okay, so I looked this one up. Now, low pressure systems are typically associated with rising air, which can lead to cloud formation and precipitation even if humidity is low. However, low humidity can limit the amount of rain that actually falls, resulting in lighter or less. See? And oh, look at that one. Now, high atmospheric pressure can reduce humidity because it compresses air, limiting the capacity to hold moisture. However, temperature is a primary factor in influencing humidity levels. So, this high pressure reduces humidity. Okay. So, now, let's just go to this one. Clouds do not produce humidity. Rather, they form when the air becomes saturated with water vapor. Now, my point. They install, with the weather modification, the gist of this is they install now they're calling for rain. I bet we don't get hardly any. We're still in a drought in Georgia. Whoops. Let's see. Let's go to this. Let's go to this real quick. I forgot to pull this one up when I was doing this. U.S. Drought Monitor. Okay, here we go. Current December 16th. As of December 30th, approximately 98% of Georgia is under drought conditions. And, under drought conditions. I remember there was a really bad drought set back in August, September. They were talking about. I didn't realize. But I mean, I guess it still is. I'm not looking at. I just drew that. I meant to shrink that back down. Okay, so we've got here the towns. Some are in a severe drought. Let's see. Where is? Yeah. Okay, which is interesting. Okay. So in weather modifications, they will typically install high pressure zones. Because remember, air moves from high to low pressure. So where you might have rain moving in, they can install high pressure and block the rain from moving in. Remember, you need lift, and they chemtrail, preventing the lift. You need lift to cause rain. And I was wondering, so we've had this high pressure, and now suddenly it's low pressure, but it's still low humidity. So I was wondering if possibly, it's just a theory of mine, if they, back over here, if they've been installing because they've been spraying a lot. Like I said, I did a video on the 29th and the 31st, and high atmospheric pressure can reduce humidity because it compresses air, so they, by installing high pressure zones, reduce the humidity, and now they'll allow the low pressure to move through, knowing that it's not going to cause much rain at all. Now, we'll go over to a real meteorologist and listen to him talk about it. Just today, I was watching some of his videos, Now this gets really interesting. This is just one of them here.
5 p.m. here on the West Coast.
Now this is several years back, but still it's the same thing. You know, same cracker heads, flying planes, different day. You know.
We have a temperature of 55 degrees here in the foothills of Los Angeles. The relative humidity is 51%. The dew point is 37 degrees, and we have a barometric pressure of 30.09 inches, which has risen quite a bit in the last day. And right here we're looking at the long wave infrared map. And those of us living in Southern California, we saw the skies today. They were completely sprayed over starting at about noontime. And we can see here on this map, this is a map showing the East Pacific. We can see this, this is actually associated with a low pressure system, a weak low. But watch this frontal system sweep right through California, and there was zero rain anywhere on the Doppler. And that continues right now. If we go ahead and look at the Doppler map, blow it up, we can see there's nothing happening here in California or in Nevada. All that moisture moved into Nevada, and so the jets that were spraying the the chemtrail aerosols, you can see that it was very effective. There's just nothing here in the west anywhere, no precipitation. All right, so getting back to the map once again, we see that low spinning. Let's go ahead and take a look at the pressure maps real quick. This is the surface pressure map. We see a high pressure right here, a closed low, sitting right off of California, ensuring that nothing will happen at the surface level. And that is one reason why this is one of the techniques used. They place high pressure, they generate high pressure at the surface, and that will prevent precipitation, as well as the chemtrail aerosols being sprayed overhead. There's no lift in the upper atmosphere, and of course you've got this ensuring that nothing happens at the surface level. So that's the surface map. We also have a storm up here, it looks like, right off the Aleutian Islands. You can see the isobars are very tightly spaced there. That's probably a storm. I don't have the surface analysis map pulled up right at the moment, but that's probably a storm. But today we should have had rain in California, all of California, based on what we just saw on the satellite map. Here's the 500 millibar map. We see little troughs here, also a trough right here, as just right over central California. We see some squiggly isobars here as well. That's evidence of manipulation right there. Nobody's talking about that on the television. These idiots that grin and tell you the weather, they're just a bunch of liars. Now here's the 300 millibar map. We see a dip there as that weak low moves through. Now if we look at the the water vapor map for the East Pacific, we can see right here, this is a vortex right here. And it's not spinning, but it is a vortex. It is slightly spinning counterclockwise right there, but it's all completely being squashed with high pressure, and that's that high we saw probably on the surface chart just a second ago, squashing that thing out. But we can see right here, there's just no rotation. We've got high pressure, dry air, all surrounding this vortex that's moving right into the west coast. And look at that. This is the water vapor. This is the water vapor map. Look at all this water vapor that moves right into California today. And what do we see? We don't see rain like we should, like we used to back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and all the way back before all this weather manipulation BS started up. By the way, take a look at the playlist on this channel. There's an old video from KNBC. John Chancellor talks about, he starts to get the American public's feet wet by talking about aerosolization, I can't even pronounce that, aerosolization of the upper atmosphere as a way to combat solar radiation. This is kind of the narrative that we hear over on Geoengineering Watch with Dane Wigington. None of that is true. That's all disinformation. So John Chancellor, if you go to the playlist on this channel and play that video, you'll see it's from the early 70s, and they are acclimating the American public to what we were going to see later on in the decade. And that is the jets spraying these chemtrail aerosols, but they weren't spraying them for the reasons that we were given in the video with John Chancellor, and that, you know, to block sunlight and mitigate this fake global warming narrative that we've been hearing. Actually, what's happening is that they're controlling the weather, and Wall Street has a gambling operation going on, weather futures and derivatives. That's the name of the tune here, folks. So
Yeah, to make money. And I did a video a month ago. A dagger to Bill Gates' global warming sham.
anyway, once again, the water vapor map, we see that moisture field moving in. Let's go ahead and look at this view here. This is the long way by our map. Here's the California coast. Here's LA right down here. The toilet bowl that is Los Angeles. We see all that moisture moving in, and not a drop of rain.
Yeah, and see, let's go back. Let's go back here for a second. See? It didn't rain the whole day here. That was at 5. It hasn't rained. I'm right here. Let's see. What's it doing right now? What's it doing right now? Well, that's saying... yeah, I'll just go check. It hasn't rained all day. Let me make sure. It hasn't rained today, has it not? I don't know if it's rained all day. It hasn't rained. It didn't rain all day, did it? Or did it? Okay. Yeah. It didn't rain the whole day. Nope. It didn't rain the whole day. It's lightly raining right now. But like I said, it's not going to do much, I bet. Well, let's go back over here. Okay.
We saw plenty of spraying though. Those jets were up. They were spraying this stuff just all over the skies. If you saw the first video this afternoon, you saw the skies. And as I was driving back to Los Angeles, driving west, it just got worse and worse. As we moved towards the coastline, I was way down in Orange County today. Okay, next, I wanted to show some evidence on October. This was taken on October the 11th. We were scheduled to have thunderstorms in the mountains above Pasadena right here, and all along the mountain range that extends all the way from Rancho Cucamonga all the way out to Santa Clarita and Silmar. Well, here is evidence right here, folks, of satellite transmitters superheating and boring. This is an evaporation pattern. This is a heavy rain cell right here with the red, but we can see that the satellite transmitter has targeted this cell to stop the lift, to prevent the heavy rain that was beginning to fall here in the mountains over Pasadena and La Cañada and Altadena. So we see the evidence right there. That is as good as it gets, folks. This is right in the middle of a very strong rain cell. Satellite transmitter targeted this cell, bored a hole right through it, and watch what happens in the following screenshots. We see that the cell was split in two. We see a bow right there where the evaporation has heated and evaporated the water vapor in this area. These were taken just a few minutes apart, maybe about 10 minutes apart.
I'm going to interrupt this, but now what do they, what do they get, they can make money off of, hey, we're going to hold back your rain, if you don't pay us this much. Or there was another video he did where he says they give out these contracts, and if you don't read the small writing where it'll say, you're covered, I guess, unless there's high pressure zone. Well, they install the high pressure zones, and wham, they don't know, you lose it. You don't, you lose your money. And another thing, what can they do in dry conditions? Cause wildfires. And this was out in California like 5-6 years ago. What was that major fire? They're constantly having these fires that get out of control. Huh? And then also in Maui, that was intentionally set.
And we see once again, this is the third shot. And this is how these weather controllers are sustaining drought conditions. I hate the word sustain and sustaining, but this is how they maintain drought conditions and around the country, around the world, but mainly in California, which where a lot of the food is grown. So there it is. This is the best evidence you'll ever see right here. And we see this all summer long when the monsoon season comes, every year, July, August, September. We see these thunderstorms move up from Mexico, and we see the cumulonimbus formations being targeted systematically over the mountains. And this is exactly what we see from, looking up at the clouds. They are targeting these things, and the same thing is happening. When this happens, the top of these clouds collapse down, and precipitation stops. So there it is. Right now, we have a little bit of rain over the Oklahoma, Texas, and Arkansas area. If you live down in that area, give us a report. Let us know what's happening down there. Looks like you've got some heavy thunder showers, all fairly widespread. Let's go ahead and blow this up. Shreveport, Louisiana, right there. Heavy.
Okay. Sip. Well, that was at 9. Low humidity, low pressure. So back to what it says. High atmospheric pressure can reduce humidity because it compresses air, eliminating its capacity to hold moisture. Oh, that's not the one. Which can lead to cloud formation precipitation, even if humidity is low. However, low humidity can limit the amount of rain that actually falls, resulting in lighter or less frequent rainfall. So that's what I predict, and that's all I had to say.